Hi there, friends. Stephen Petasky here, founder of the Luxus Group. Thank you very, very much for being here. I'm so stoked about today because we're actually not talking about vacation real estate like we traditionally do with the majority of our broadcasts and our videos. Today, we're talking about the health benefits of travel. We want you to travel, but we want you to understand like there's more than just either making money on an Airbnb or there's more than just, feeling rejuvenated. It's like so much benefit inside your body, mentally, about getting on a vacation, recharging that energy, and going back so you can tackle the world. Now, I personally have a really big interest in this. I love understanding more about sleep and wellness and the benefits that come from sunlight and diet and all these various aspects. But I've only learned it through basically consuming podcasts and listening to people that know what the heck they're talking about. But today, instead of hearing from me, I'm bringing on an amazing guest. Phenomenal, absolute stud in the space, completely knows the stuff more than anyone I've ever talked to. And I'm having a chance to work with him a bit right now. So I really, really understand this guy knows his stuff. And he's agreed to come on today in the middle of all his patients during the day to take some time to share a bit of the health benefits of travel. So before I introduce him, I just want to quickly say thank you again for being here. If it's your first time to the show, it means the world. Thank you. I mean, hopefully you found some value in today's episode. And of course, if you do, my biggest ask for anything is share it, subscribe it, like it, comment, give us feedback, good or bad, it's all good. We just want to know how we can serve you better and giving you really good content going forward so it can arm you for the whole world of vacation real estate. And if you're a recurring guest, thank you for being here. Today, you're going to love the show, I promise. So without further ado, we are in this virtual broadcasting studio. I'm going to bring in Dr. D into the studio with me, and we're going to introduce him and get right after it. Dr. D, how you doing, man?
What's up, my brother? What's up, Steven?
I'm fine. You know what? This is that. We're like a world apart. Where are you located?
I'm in downtown Miami, Florida.
And I am northwest of you in Edmonton, Canada. We're about as far separated in North America as you could possibly be, yet we're in a studio together. How good is technology these days?
We're connected here.
I believe it. Well, I'm super excited, and I want to give you an introduction here, but I want to let the viewers know today's actually, I'll be a little bit selfish. It's kind of a bit about me. I actually want to have a conversation with you and nerd out a bit on some of the science around travel and diet and health and time zones and sunlight. So I think you and I are going to have a great conversation with lots of people listening in. But we also want to give the viewers here a chance to understand what they could be doing, like the impact and tactical things they could look at for travel. So you and I are going to have a great convo, and hopefully the people find value from our discussion today.
Let's go.
Awesome. So I call you Dr. D because it's the easiest way to call it, and that's how you go by Instagram and your thing. But give everyone your real name, and don't be humble with your. I would read off your bio, but it's too long. It's there. You have too many letters behind your name and experience. But I want you to give a summary first off your name, where you're from, but also a bit of what you do. And then I want you to segue that directly into your company, Biohaxs, because most important viewers to know is where we get our expert content from is people that are truly living it and are the forefront of understanding the value that's derived from human performance and human optimization. So when it comes to this, I want you to take it away. Don't have to be humble. Just brag. Talk about all the awesome stuff you're doing.
I love you, man. I appreciate that. So my full name is Marcos D. Andrade. So the D. Andrade got a little hard back in the days when I was doing, like in medical school. Even it started kind of, I think, at the last year of medical school and in the hospital. So the D. Andrade just stuck to Dr. D and D, and there. Nowadays it's Dr. D, and I don't have a choice. Somebody called me the other day by my first name, Marcos. So I was out with my parents, and she's like, "Wow, I haven't heard that in a while." My mom was telling me. So, yeah, it's stuck. So yeah, I'm an MD. I went to medical school, and then afterwards, I did the whole pre-med biology thing, and then medical school, and then afterwards, I went to Cleveland Clinic to do research in metabolism, Cleveland Clinic, Florida. So I did my postdoc studies there. And then I broke away. I didn't do the regular residency route, especially because we won't get into it today, but I was having some health issues that I didn't want to actually treat myself by the way I was learning. So then I got into alternative medicine actually to help myself. So I'm board certified in alternative, but my background's MD. So, and then I fell in love with biohacking. Biohacking's my life. You
Mhm.
know, that's what I had to do to hack myself out of how I felt. And just to give you guys a quick nutshell explanation, I was being diagnosed with depression, but what I really had was burnout. I had adrenal fatigue. And you know, I tell everybody I'm a comeback story. So I'm inside our facility here in Miami, and we built a really cool facility, work all the way very high end athletes, NFL, UFC, to political people, to high level businessmen such as yourself, et cetera. And here we are, you know, just helping people to optimize, be bigger, better, faster, stronger.
I love it. I love it. Now, I'm getting more familiar with your business. We only met a few months ago. We actually met at a real estate mastermind, which is really cool. As I know you're looking at some real estate opportunities, but just a total side thing. If anyone's interested, and I think it's the coolest real estate mastermind in the country, ping me and I'll make an introduction and let you know what it's all about. But that was our chance to meet, which is a really cool experience. But tell people what biohacking is. So let's just assume someone doesn't know what that means. How would you summarize biohacking in terms of how you would position it?
Yeah. So health is wealth, right? So it's not looking at your health from a checkpoint, you know, like checkup, sorry,
Mhm.
mindset. It's
Mhm.
looking at your health with the ability to optimize yourself, with the ability to feel less anxiety, less feelings of depression or tiredness or low energy
Mhm.
or not like what you see in the mirror, not like your even sexual performance, everything. It's the ability to change how you are having your human experience through life,
Mhm.
not only waiting for a disease to come, but optimizing yourself to be as furthest away from it as possible from that disease and living
Mhm.
life to its fullest.
That's the best explanation I've ever heard. And a lot of people are like, oh, I eat organs and I do things to make my gut. You did a great job of summarizing that perfectly. It's life is a journey. And I think that my wife and I have tried to take this seriously, in particular the last few years. It's like, what are the things we can do inside the body, biologically, in our minds and brains that improve our health? There's so many little hacks along the way, which is, hence biohacks, is that have drastically improved our lives drastically by not changing anything, changing a few habits and improving certain elements of it that has allowed us to create the balance in our minds and our bodies. And I feel like we've achieved a whole nother level. And I feel like we have so much further to go. The human bodies are capable of so much, and we never get a chance to really optimize it unless you're a super athlete. So I think what you're doing is great. It's allowing people both on that side of the spectrum, but also called the weekend warriors like myself and other business people, call it the corporate athlete, in terms of
Right.
improving their bio.
I love that term, corporate athlete. I've heard
Right.
that plenty of times, and I consider myself one as well. So yeah, and just on the biohacking end and front, the whole thing, because there's a lot of different biohacking fronts, like you said, you know,
Yeah.
different things you could do, but data is always very important. We live in a data environment, right? So
Mhm.
collecting data on your health is very important, and actually changing that data. So that's the only thing I would add to what I said before. Data.
Makes total sense. A lot of people just assume we're all in the same box, but you need your own personal data to make informed decisions about what's right and what works. So I love that. Hopefully, the viewers would establish high degree of credibility for Dr. D right there, and he spends his life doing it. So we're going to. I want a half combination of nerding out on some deep science stuff and half combination of like layman's terms on like some really basic tactical things people can do. But let's shift this over to travel. So my business, and as our viewers know here, we're in the travel business. We buy real estate, manage, develop, and lifestyle destinations around the world. We've got stuff in Florida, we got stuff in the Caribbean, Mexico, Italy, California, all these places. And every time I ask you a question, every time I travel, generally speaking, unless you're out like drinking too much or eating unhealthy, which I'm sure we'll talk about, is I feel better. I feel rejuvenated. You come back and you've got energy again, and you've had a great time with your spouse. You've had this wonderful time for your kids. But what would you say are some of your top few health benefits of travel? Like why should someone get on an airplane or get in a car and go somewhere that's outside of their environment, outside of the office, and invest into travel to improve, I guess I'll call their overall wellness?
I'll tell you what I tell a lot of our clients many times. I tell our clients, get the heck out of here. You need to burst out of this bubble that you're in, number one, because, you know, we are biological consultants and so forth. And, you know, once we lots of times a person might be feeling a little anxious or overwhelmed or burned out.
Yeah.
Burnout is a big one. If you want me to associate adrenal fatigue with travel, I can sit here for a week and talk about this. But so lots of times when we get that person with the right level of the biological components that they need, their micronutrients are right, the leaky gut's starting to fix, hormones are starting to get balanced. We remove them remove them from toxic things like the gluten and the dairy and all whatever that's hurting them specifically via data, like I said, that we
Mm-hmm.
collect. And the person sometimes is still not functioning as they would like. And when they have a lot of psychosomatic stressors, so their environment is heavy, I
Mm-hmm.
always tell them, leave, go do something, go in an immersion experience with yourself, disconnect. That is so important. And I do that. What I do, and I never told you this, but in
Uh-huh.
the beginning of the year, I plan out most of my breaks. About 60% of my breaks are planned out already because
Love
it's healthy. Look, high performance requires high recovery, my friend.
it.
Travel and vacation is recovery,
I
period.
love that. Let's go with that segue. That's perfect because I agree. It's a form of recovery. You said a couple things are important. I like what you referenced about like, would you say psychosomatic in terms of like your environment is constantly like
Mhm.
pounding us from all sides, office, kids, life, traffic, whatever it may be. That just is a stress compounder, right? Like it just builds up in your mind and body.
Right. So
And,
psychosomatic is more a component lots of times to describe somebody where they have an arm pain and it's
Mhm.
like they don't know where it's coming from, right? And then you say, oh, it's in the person's head or something like that. And I kind of extended the medical meaning, if there's any medical person out there, they know I'm playing with that term a little bit. But but if you think about it for a second, it means the psychosomatic means things that your psychology is affecting and physically or immunologically or something like that. It's showing signs of stress in your system and you're like, I don't know why it's happening. Well, that's one of
Mhm.
the biggest solutions is get that person out of that environment, right? That
I love
environment
it.
is very important, and environment is also connected to epigenetics because you have your genetic makeup, but your
Mhm.
epigenetic, nature versus nurture. If you
Mhm.
stay in a
Oh yeah.
toxic environment long enough, you will become toxic, my friend. So that's
Ah,
very, very important, both in the short term and in the long term. Environment. We're huge on environment here. Huge.
I love that. Just change your environment, changes your state, and that gives you that recovery that's required. It makes total sense. That's why I think why I feel I leave and I love coming home and love coming to places we live. But it still is a familiar environment that has stress factors. And tell quickly before we jump in about changing environment and we shift to like the vacation itself, what does like chronic stress do inside your body, into your mind? Like if you're constantly pounded, and I'm sure you could go way deep in the rabbit hole, but like give the basics that takes the majority of people in North America that are suffering from chronic stress. What does it actually mean to their biological age and their bodies and their minds?
Oh, wait. You're pulling me down this rabbit hole a little hard.
Okay,
You said
keep it tight. Keep
biological
it.
age, bro. Really? You're asking how long are we supposed to go? Because I love talking about this. Okay.
Okay.
So look, there's a field of medicine relatively new called psychoneuroimmunology. Psychoneuroimmunology. So it's the
Okay.
connection of your psyche with your nervous system and your immune system.
Mhm.
When you put yourself through stress, what is stress chemically? It's cortisol,
Mhm.
right? Your
Mhm.
adrenal glands, which sit above your kidneys, they're releasing adrenaline. Adrenal gland, adrenaline, right? Makes sense,
Understood.
right?
Yeah.
I'm a
Gotcha.
big common sense guy. I try not to make them,
It's
medicine's
good.
not that hard. They make it sometimes a little more complicated than it needs to be. So when you're in the go nonstop and you're being that high performance individual where you're being trying to be super dad, a super business owner, or super executive, or whatever you're doing, super student, a partner, friend, etc., you think we don't end up kind of messing up on a recovery and just burning the candle at both ends? We
Mhm.
absolutely do. So when
Yeah.
you keep these chronic states of stress, for example, you start to lead into issues like, for example, leaky gut. You start to have issues in absorbing vitamins, minerals, antioxidants at the gut level. You start to throw your body off of its natural homeostasis, that natural rhythm that is required in your body to regenerate itself, to produce hormone, to produce, I'll give you an example. Your body produces about 12,000 milligrams of glutathione a day.
Okay.
When you're overly stressed, when that cortisol molecule is really high and your body's not coping with that very well,
Mhm.
so your body starts to consume all these antioxidants. They start like the glutathione, and now instead of, say 4,000 milligrams of glutathione being used to produce X, now it's being used, it's shunted down a different pathway. It's in survival mode. Once your body goes into survival mode, you start to stress the system to a point where your body goes into a breakdown state, not a constructive state. Your body's either in a constructive or destructive state. There's no in between.
I see.
So you keep that at long term, you're literally aging quicker. You're hurting yourself. The ultimate disease is aging. I always talk about that. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but
See there, another one.
you push yourself into aging sooner and you attract disease ultimately, period. End of story.
Perfect. You know what? I mean, I think the stress is coming out so much more as an actual topic of the true root cause, whether it's, inflammation of the body, and that triggers all these different types of diseases that are around them. So we're going to talk about the tactics now of one element of having to reduce that stress, which can obviously improve your overall body and wellness, which is travel. So let's talk about a few things on travel that you would find beneficial. You did say earlier, which I love, and I want to go off this quickly, pre-planning your vacations in advance to have them. I heard a stat on this is a long time ago, so you may not have heard the same or not, but for a lot of people, just the planning of a vacation and the anticipation of one is almost as powerful as the vacation itself. So like versus a lot of people in North America don't plan any vacation, and then they're so burnt out. They're like, I need to get away, and they plan something in short notice. But when people have something on the books, they're looking forward to it. Like just the anticipation can be powerful in addition to, of course, the vacation itself. Have you heard anything like that, or I just make that up in my mind?
No. And that's why we recommend that. So we recommend a lot of lifestyle modifications. Today we actually just recorded a little commercial, talking about on what to cook on, so we're big on lifestyle. Okay. I want, your viewers to understand we care a lot about you. Like literally what pots and pans are you using? What kind of soap are you using? So of course the vacation topic is something that is heavily talked about here. And there are clients that we ask them, can you please plan out a series of events in your life where you will disconnect from this heavy environment that you're in?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I've heard of it. Yes, we implement it here. And I implement it in my life. The person's ability to recover when they actually take these vacations or just leave the environment is very important. And now also the expectation, right, of having a vacation, that right there, I mean, it's kind of like that feeling when you're a little kid, right? You're excited for something, right? So I personally feel that way when I know I have a vacation coming up. It also helps you to settle the stress. Okay, countdown, it's almost there. I mean, don't we all of us wait for the weekend? It's Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday.
So,
Today is Friday too. We're all excited. Exactly. So, I love that one. I'm going to call it tactic number one. So we all know travel is good for us. We'll get into a few more, but have your next vacation on the books before the vacation in front of you is taken. So you always got something to look forward to, something to anticipate and be excited about. I like that as a great tactic. Let's talk about travel day itself. A little bit about travel day. You're going to airports, especially these days, like these, we're going to talk about airplanes, trains, that type of thing. So airports, COVID testing, masks, stress, bad food on airplanes, dry environment, recycled air. Let's just talk a little bit about the experience of getting to your destination. The worst thing I've experienced, and I think I've become good at it for my own, what I know I need around diet and hydration stuff. But I found like a lot of times you get to your vacation spot and you're so fried. You're already fried going into it. Now you're double fried from that 8-hour flight. What would you do on a travel day? So when you arrive at your destination, you're feeling like ready to vacation, not taking you 3 days to kind of unwind.
So, yeah, you just mentioned a few things. It's funny because I will post, like sometimes I will post at the airport, like, and I'm like, what do I eat? Because I know it's a huge problem because a lot of people ask me, it's like, okay, Doc, you have us on all these, because we do the food sensitivities and the leaky guts and all the chemical additives. We literally test you here for the additives in the foods. So they're like, what are you going to do? Eat wrapper food? And I always say, if it's in a box and if it's in a wrapper, maybe don't eat it, because there's the whole war between, carnivore, keto, or vegan and veg. I'm like, guys, okay, I'm not going to get into that, but just get rid of the processed foods. But when you get to the airport,
It's
it's all
hard.
processed.
Yeah.
So me personally, and I know a lot of our clients, one thing that carries a huge burden is actually, especially if we're not used to not eating healthy, etc. When you go to the airport and you're, putting those kinds of foods in, etc., and then the airplane food, and then you mix it with a little bit of HAG. I call it HAG, high altitude gas.
Oh,
Sorry,
I never
just a
heard that
little
one
joke.
before. It's a new one.
I
Put
know
that as
it's a
an
little
acronym on
joke.
screen.
But sorry, dear viewers, just
No,
life's,
I
you
like it.
gotta laugh. Life, you gotta joke around every once in a while. That's also
Absolutely.
part of being healthy.
Yeah.
So you mix all this stuff up. It's a nice recipe for disaster when you get there. You get there sometimes more exhausted than, or especially when you're coming back, that you're not, it's lots of times as excited. You come back and you're really,
Yes.
feeling, exhausted from the flight or the trip itself. So
Yeah.
where you just rested so much and then the trip actually kills you. So
Mhm.
what I tell people, look, try to avoid the processed foods,
Mhm.
definitely the drinks, like, because you start getting into these high sugary drinks, then
Mhm.
and then lots of times you don't understand why it's like, hey, I have heartburn today, or the next day, and this is actually, I just remember, this is very important to explain. What's a food sensitivity? When you, not food allergy. When food allergy, you put a peanut in your mouth and anybody can tell you have a food allergy. But what's a food
Mhm.
sensitivity? You eat the pasta Saturday night and you have the headache Tuesday morning. But now,
Mhm.
what if you're in the coast of Italy with a headache? That's not
Yeah.
fun.
No, no,
You see
that's
what I'm
true.
saying?
Exactly.
Or with joint pain or something like that.
Yeah.
So, so for you to really enjoy yourself, etc., I tell people, get off the processed foods. Try not to have the gluten and the dairy, right? So your vacation is, it's actually, not a burdensome event on your body. You want to be at your peak state during your vacation, right? At least then, right?
For max recovery, to get that max recovery. If you're stressing your body out with, and we travel, we're going to taste different foods. You're going to experience the culture you're around, but you're saying just be responsible to not, just because you're on vacation, not McDonald's and pop and all these things on the thing, and then you set yourself back 3 days on your 7-day vacation. You've lost that precious recovery time.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. So, just some food for thought. No gluten, no dairy, and get rid of processed foods. And you tell me
Yeah.
how you'll feel.
I love it. One thing I do, and my wife and I have been doing lately, especially on airplanes, and if you're sitting in economy, it's very difficult to get water refills. They can't touch your water bottle anymore. So we bring a lot of water in the airplane. I drink a ton a day, probably more than most humans. But we're bringing some of these hydrators that have like sodium, magnesium, some basic like trace minerals and stuff to help. It seems to help us on the plane to feel a little more satiated. Get some of these things in your body when you're on an 8-hour flight. Do you have anything you've used in the past for like a hydrator, electrolytes, minerals, micronutrients that you would take as just something that's like a little bit of a pick me up on the plane versus just relying on ginger ale and Sprite?
Well, I don't remember drinking a ginger ale or a Sprite, to tell you the truth. I live
You
by them.
probably never have.
I No, I can't say I didn't, back in the years and years ago before I really took up living this way. But and just to, like, so your viewers know, I take this pretty serious. I've never drank alcohol in my life. Which is, especially being a very social guy, etc. Not that it's, not passing judgment or anything like that, but I really try to keep this, as clean, no sugars, no alcohols, no, so, but one thing that I'm a big fan of, um, coconut water. I do a
Yeah.
lot of coconut water, a
Yeah.
lot of coconut water. So if I can, there's a few brands I like that I'll try to grab at the airport. I'll grab a
Yep.
coconut water. I
Love
pretty much only drink sparkling water,
it.
Pellegrino Perrier,
Yeah.
um, coconut water, and
Yeah.
water.
There you go.
So,
That's
and
it.
then one thing I'll do too, which is really, really good, and this is an amazing hack, is Soleil water. So where you add pink Himalayan salt into a
Mhm.
little container, and then you add it's a little hard to explain without visuals, but you add a little bit of pink Himalayan salt and then a little bit of water, and you carry that. It's small. And
Yeah.
then you could, every time you're going to drink water, you put just like a little tablespoon, you just drop into your regular water,
Yeah.
and it completely hydrates you.
Wow. Love it.
Yeah,
Love that.
and anybody can look that up. Go to YouTube, put SOLE water. It's huge. You'll see a lot of doctors talking about it. Has a lot of health benefits, a lot.
Amazing. See, these are awesome. These little biohacks cost you nothing, the price of salt. Mix it in your water. You stay more hydrated and feel better. It's amazing. Okay.
And there's about 60 minerals in Soleil water, and
Oh, wow.
it exactly costs you nothing. And salt gets demonized a lot, and and that white stuff on the table, that sodium
Yeah.
chloride,
Yeah.
that's bad for you. But pink Himalayan salt or the sea salt, that's not bad for you. That's actually essential, especially with the minerals, etc. When you
Yes.
mix it just at the right ratios with the water, that's what your blood wants, because your blood has a certain level of salt inside, right? So
Perfect.
that's what, if you're dehydrated and you get to the hospital, they're
Yeah.
not going to give you straight water in your veins. They're going to give you saline water, 0.9 saline, because there's a little bit of salt there. So
That's
that,
right.
yeah, packs that you're doing, that's the kind of idea that we want. And then if you really want to go hardcore, take your little bottle of Soleil, just a
Yeah.
little bit, and throw it in your water.
So I'm going to text you the link of what we're using. You can let me know if you like it, or I'll switch over to Soleil. But okay, I love that. So we'll call in the airplane. We want to stay hydrated. Soleil water. Bring a healthy diet. Pack some healthy snacks yourself, so you don't rely on airport food when you get hungry. And well, those are all kind of good tactics while we're flying.
And then can I add one more?
Yeah, please.
This is my favorite one, and it's funny, I didn't even start this way. If you're up for it, and this is, again, be careful, this is not for everybody, especially if you're not used to it, and if you're going to be in a really long flight, but fasting is very interesting.
Yes.
So fasting, to me, that's my biggest one, because like sometimes, I'm in a rush or something like that, connecting flights, and then there I go trying to look for bananas, but then I don't know if they're organic, and then I'm trying to look for almonds, and then I don't know if so you know what, I fast, and I stick to a good quality water, lots of times too. So fasting on the trip for me is something I do as well.
Okay. Love that. We've been intermittent fasting for, gosh, 6, 7 years now. It's changed our
Oh,
lives, like legitimately unbelievable, but it's not something common yet. I think a lot of people think of it as like restriction or starving. It's not. It's actually just how your body gets used to consuming calories and stuff during a certain time period. And I find it so much better, but different rabbit hole for a different day. So you mentioned something important. You don't drink and haven't drank. I like drinking. I don't drink all the time, but I like cocktails. I like Mai Tai in Hawaii, and I like a margarita in Mexico, and all the good stuff. So let's talk about, you're on the ground, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. I've never asked you this, so I don't know what your answer would be, but let's just say a hangover cure. Let's say you've had a few drinks that first night, and you wake up the next day with a bit foggy. Do you have some typical hangover tips that would help someone kind of recover a bit quicker versus letting that kind of drag into the next day or two?
so yeah, well, I'm in Miami, so a lot of people ask about that.
Yeah.
So as it relates when the person's a little hungover and trying to get back on track. So I mean, that one right there is pretty straightforward. You stick to a good chunk of hydration, right? And having a healthy meal is also really good. It's going to change your body's metabolism and so forth. The last thing you want to do is add some unhealthy food there, where it's more burdensome for your body to metabolize all this stuff out of it, right?
Yes, yeah.
So sticking to some good hydration and a healthy meal, right, to get this stuff out is probably the best route to go.
Perfect. And one thing we've changed over the years, again, refer back to my wife and I a lot, Carrie and I, but is we used to kind of just drink whatever people drank in the area. But it's like every restaurant, I swear they put like half the drink is sugar. Like there's so much sugar in these things. So we actually become, I don't call high maintenance, but maybe specific in our requests on alcohol. Certain drinks, less sugar or no sugar whatsoever. So it's just alcohol and soda and citrus or whatever the case is. And it's definitely helped us a lot, because that sugar is just like, seems like the absolute killer. And then you make terrible decisions on food later in the night or the next day when you're running off a glycemic crash.
A lot of our clients here, they end up telling me that they just go with tequila. They're like,
Yeah.
they're like straight up tequila. So it doesn't hit them as hard on the sugar level.
I've heard that a lot and many times, because 100% like pure agave is, that seems to be like a great alcohol of choice if you're looking to keep it super clean but want to have a cocktail.
Right.
Okay. Love that. So awesome stuff. So let's talk about, like sunlight. Let's talk about sunlight. It's such an important one. So I'm in a climate right now, this time of year in Northern Canada, that it's dark it's getting later now, but the days get really short. Sometimes we don't see much sunlight, and so you don't get that vitamin D. So we supplement a lot in these northern climates with vitamin D. But when you go on travel, you just don't feel you need it. So just talk about benefits of sunlight and how someone should do it. A lot of people apply, rightfully so, layers of sunscreen to potentially protect, but they might be getting bad stuff from the sunscreen, but in particular blocking the actual healthy rays that come from sun. So tell how you would tell someone who comes from the great white north, who's very white and untanned, and we show up in this place, and I don't want to burn, but I want the benefits that come from sunlight. Give me your 2 cents on that.
So number one, I'm huge into this topic. I tell people all the time that we should prep our bodies for the sunlight, because what happens is, and it's funny because I say this a lot of times to our clients, I say, listen, you got the person that's not in Miami or in a very sunny area, it's cooped up all year, and then their body has barely seen any sun. They come down here, stay two weeks heating up in the beach or whatever, and then they leave with a cancer, or so like a melanoma or something like that.
Yeah.
Their body's not exposed to sunlight, and it causes that. But now it's like, wait, but you're saying sunlight's bad? Absolutely not. Because I posted about this the other day. How are the Indians, for example, were the Indians, just think about it for a second. The Indians, right? The Amazon Indians, whatever, exposed to sun the whole time, and these guys weren't dropping dead all the time with cancers.
Aboriginals,
cancers. And there's 2 studies done, which is amazing studies. One on the U.S. Postal Service, so they're exposed to a lot of sun, and the other one, I forgot the name of the exact profession, but the people that work on top of ships, they're exposed to a lot of sun either. The incidence and prevalence of cancers, skin cancers, etc., on them, like the melanomas, is lower. They'll get the squamous cell or basal cell carcinomas, the ones, those skin cancers, but they'll
cut them out.
Yeah, they'll kill you if you wait, I don't know, a long time, and you don't take care of it. The melanoma, the really bad one, the incidence prevalence is very low. So let me tie everything together. The sun is super beneficial for you. The sun rays have UVA and UVB. The UVB is the beneficial one. The UVA is not. And the problem is nowadays, 95% of the sunlight that's coming is UVA, not UVB. And UVB, the one you want, only comes out by around 11 and 2:30.
Oh, really?
So those are the stronger times, when you have that sunlight with the beneficial stuff. But then when you put the sunscreen, it's actually protecting you. It's stopping the UVB from getting to you. So it's a tough position, right? So, and it kind of starts to sound confusing, right? So whole point is what I tell people: prepare your body for sunlight. And here's what I do: I have to do phone calls. I step outside in the middle of that time, because just 30 minutes of exposing your body to that sunlight, that UVB containing sunlight from about 11 to 2 in the afternoon, is amazing for you. And there's actually, I just remember this, it's a culture in a part of Japan where the businessmen will actually have meetings. They'll roll up their sleeves and put their arms outside the windows and talk to each other like that at around lunchtime. So being exposed to sun consistently is very healthy for you. But now if you're not exposed and then you throw yourself on a beach for 2 weeks straight, you're looking for trouble. That's the moral of the story.
All right. Outstanding feedback on that. I appreciate that. I've actually been trying since we've been back here. It's minus 20 right now. So it's very cold. That's probably minus 10, 12 Fahrenheit. But if you get to be minus 40, that's too tough. But I rolled out the window and just sit with some sun on my face and my eyes and stuff in the morning, even though it's chilly, just to get sun. And I literally immediately feel better. Like, you never don't feel better being in the sun for a minute or two. Like, there's not a single person who could say, I felt worse being in the sun for a minute. You always feel better. So take advantage of it, but prep your body. Awesome tactic. Let's talk about during your vacation, like exercise or different things they should be doing. We talked about diets. I think we covered that well. Like, try to stay clean, but also enjoy. You're on vacation. What about exercise on vacation? I see some people, literally go on vacation to do nothing. And I see the opposite. People go over the top and they hurt themselves on vacation. But you just moderation, move your body. Like, just what's your feedback on that?
Well, it's going to connect to the lifestyle you have. I train about 9 times a week. And I train contact sports, 3 times a week. And And we really do train. We go at it. Sometimes I do have a black eye. Sometimes, so I don't want to go on vacation and go punch anybody. And so, plus I don't compete. But
Yeah.
at the same time, if I go about 2 or 3 days without lifting a weight or running, I start to feel bad.
Gotcha.
So I honestly, what I tell our clients too, if you've never worked out, maybe take that time that you're going to be off, that you're, chugging it
Mhm.
up to excuses where, hey, no, I'm busy and the kids and this and this and that. Try that you're at that point that you're not so busy, maybe 9 a.m. at the hotel, go do a little 30-minute run and then try to transition that to when you get back home, right?
Mhm.
Maybe start reserving that time window. Is there a time window at home that might work for me? Yeah.
Mhm.
7 in the morning, 9 in the morning, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Well, start it at while you're on vacation. And I've
Mhm.
seen it work plenty of times.
Amazing.
Or that's for the person that's not working out. Yeah, because they develop the habit for a week or two, whatever time they're on vacation.
Yeah.
Then when they get back home, like, don't stop, keep going. And they pick up the momentum from there.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
use the
Love it.
vacation as momentum. And then for guys like me, I do admit, like I take it down a notch, but for me, stopping actually doesn't help me at all. My stress levels actually it's crazy. If I do not work out, I start to feel a little antsy and so
Yeah.
forth. So I have to go expend that energy. So, and then also I work with a lot of, NFL, UFC and so forth. So point is, like, these guys, they actually need to tone it down. Those
Yeah.
guys, they actually, it's like, okay, tone it down a bit and recover, because their whole thing is recovery. And that's where injuries and so forth
Yeah.
develop. So it's kind of custom tailored to each person. But I think for a lot of people that have a hard time working out, I love this little hack. What's the time that would work for you at home? You don't tell them. I don't even tell them what.
Yeah.
If you were to work out at home, what time would it be? I think 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning. Okay, so you're gonna go on vacation. You're gonna promise me you're gonna start a little tiny workout at that time, and then you're gonna keep it on when you get home.
That's amazing. I love this. It's almost like three buckets of people. Someone that maybe hasn't been exercising, someone that's consistent and like hardcore, maybe like where you're at. People that haven't been exercising, get into a little routine, use it as the momentum to get it processed. Maybe the middle, maybe someone like myself, active, probably 5, 6 workouts a week. Try to maintain something, but use it as a recovery. And then if you're hardcore, that's probably is your recovery time. You need
Oh
your
yeah,
body
yeah.
needs to actually recover. So awesome feedback. I love that hack and the idea of pick your time at home so you can maintain consistency when you go back versus if you can't do yoga at noon every day, sure, it's probably good to do something while you're on holidays, but won't be able to replicate that experience in your office life. So try to pick something you can. I love that, Doctor. That's amazing. Let's talk about electronics devices. So like we're obviously constantly, especially during COVID, horribly addicted to screens because we have to for conversations like this, in addition to the regular rabbit holes of Instagram and Facebook and everything else that goes along with. What do you do on vacation? Do you unplug? Do you wind down? Do you put boundaries in place? Like how do you manage your call it screen time, electronics time, and how does it? Yeah, how do you find it? Is it good for you? Better, less, more?
So you just touched on a topic that I have some crazy habits actually. So ready?
Let's go. Let's go.
So once a week, I have two phones. So I
Okay.
put down one phone, like
Okay.
emails and so forth. I won't check it.
Okay.
So it starts kind of like Friday night and goes on to like about Sunday morning.
Okay.
So actually today's Friday and
Yes.
in a little bit I'll disconnect, and I really disconnect emails and so forth, etc. So I really believe in doing that. I do it once a week. I've
Yeah.
been doing this for years.
Yeah.
Okay. Two, um, when I've not only I'm such a stickler to this, maybe 6, 7 months ago, here in Miami. Um, this was very funny. The first time I did this, and it was one of my best. This was a staycation. I
Yeah.
just needed to spend some time with myself,
Yeah.
study some, revamp of a few medical strategies that we have here,
Mhm.
etc. And I took 3 weeks off, 21 days off, like uncommunicable. Just I told you I have another phone, so
Yeah.
only my
Yeah.
parents and my wife had my number. That's it.
That's it.
I can't tell you how relaxed I felt. Now pause. I've gone on the nicest vacations where I invested. I literally like said, you know what? I need to rest. I need a
Mhm.
good break. And what does the
Yeah.
moron do? Take his phone, his work phone. No, I literally melted of like agony of like, I can't disconnect.
I see. Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
had this conversation with my wife. I said, when I've literally stayed home, but disconnected my phone,
Yeah.
just I believe I gave it to my assistant. Yeah, I gave it to my assistant. Give me this back in like 21. No, but I did not talk to my assistant. Nobody had my number. Nothing.
Yeah.
No emails. Nothing. I put those little default messages like I'm out of da 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 da.
Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
call
Yeah.
this
For sure.
number. So what I tell people all the time now, I'm like, I beg you, if you're going on vacation, if you're going away, really go away. With
Yeah.
take your mind out of here. Don't take your body and leave your mind here. So
Yes.
I always tell people disconnect from the darn thing, the electronical world as much as you can. And I really suggest people. I won't get into it for a lot of the other reasons, but to have two phones, for certain privacy things, etc. But
Yeah.
one thing I tell people all the time: have your where you, the that because some people can't not have a phone, so it's
Yep.
like, and
Makes
me
sense.
included. So have your phone where your work's not there and you're not going crazy.
I love that because you're right. It's a distraction. You pick up your phone, and there's probably like 40 texts on this right now. But I just want to talk to my wife. I think what you share is very common amongst everyone in the business in the world. We're constantly connected. It could be your kid's sports team. 10 notifications there, or it could be work emails. But you're not. What you're saying effectively is you're not getting the maximum recovery your body and mind needs if your mind is staying back in the previous environment. You're going to
Absolutely.
immerse the new environment, immerse yourself, mind and body, so you can get the proper recovery.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. Well, we've taken way more time than expected, but I'm not surprised because I know we go down all these amazing conversations. Let's move to the end here. There's so many good tactics around this. Anything else you want to close? You would say like as a reason. So let's just say I'm a listener here. Maybe I'm not into biohacking, but I just give me one good reason to go travel that you haven't given already. So I know I'm going to feel better. Is there anything else that comes to mind from a travel perspective you'd want to share to the viewers here that you think would be a benefit of a reason why they should get their bodies out of their environment to move into somewhere sunny, special, or a favorite place or something?
Yeah. It's the reason I go on vacation. After I'm feeling clean, we're putting in my body the best foods I can,
Yep.
that I'm feeling rested, that I'm feeling disconnected from my environment and recovered, I become creative, very creative. And in those moments where that creativity hits is always when I'm like disconnected by myself and just sometimes in nature. I'm a huge
True.
nature guy. Sometimes when you're just taking a walk through, doing a nature hike, and you're actually disconnected and really immersed in just spending time with yourself, your loved one, whatever you're doing, man, I get like a flow of ideas.
Yeah,
Creativity.
love it.
One word, creativity.
Perfect. You know what? That's a perfect way to finish. Honestly, completely nailed it. I mean, if I'm the same way, and I think anyone in their life who doesn't want to have a creative moments, and what's your best creative space? But I do agree. As soon as you said that, I just started resonating. Like, yes, when I actually have a legitimate breakaway, I come back with fresh ideas and fresh energy for my team and my family that I probably didn't have. So, Dr. D, that was epic. Like seriously, 40 minutes of awesomeness on that conversation, about 20 minutes longer than it might be like a 2-part series on YouTube. We'll figure this out. But where can our people follow you? Like what's the best way to people? We'll put everything in the show notes, like all your links to Biohaxs and such, but what's the number one platform you want people to follow you on?
Instagram. We don't market much. We're kind of word of mouth. You either know
Yep.
us or you don't, but we go by Biohacks.
Yep.
So Instagram's kind of where I do my rants and so forth. But
Yeah.
you could go to our website, and if you want to know more, just contact us. And we're a pretty big team and friendly people. We'll be happy to explain a little bit more of what we do.
It's so good, man. Well, listen, super appreciate your time. I'm going to move you out of the studio and kind of wrap this up. Hang tight in the studio. Don't leave quite yet. And then appreciate you, man. You're the man. That was outstanding
Thank you
stuff.
for having me.
My
Thank you.
pleasure, buddy. Talk to you soon, all right? Hang tight. All right, everyone. Wow. I mean, for me, I'm into this thing, and I got so many good tips there that he set up that I never even thought about. I need to get more time with him, and too bad he's so far away, but technology can bring us together. But that was amazing. I hope you found the tactics around the pre-trip, during the travel days, when you're on the vacation itself. The moral of the story is take a trip, plan ahead, and disconnect. These are all the elements that will bring value to your life, and that 100% what your body and mind needs is recovery, rejuvenation. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this little kind of segue off, not talking real estate, just talking travel and fun stuff. Leave comments down if you liked it. I could have Dr. D back or other experts that are curious in the travel space. But thanks again for being here. It means the world to me. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye for now.